Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine, and it's about noon. It's almost exactly noon. It's 11:59 a.m. here in the Red Stick City, Baton Rouge, Red Stick. Baton Rouge actually does mean Red Stick, but from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, this is your boy Vulcan Wolverine. It is, what is it, June 15th, 2021. I've got an important article that came out on June 14th. We've all kind of heard it, but it has some new things in it. I'm working on some other things, looking into some other things, and I'm still working on my email for the State Department. There's something in here from the State Department I want to show you guys. So, we all knew we were going to be disappointed, I think, like even me, where it's like, oh, this is coming out and they have so many reports, but they're still trying to cover it up, right? They're still trying to put out a lot of propaganda that it's like a very limited number of incidents and they're all happening overseas, right? And it's probably all Russia. Russia just has these weapons, which is idiotic, right? It's so stupid that I think what they're doing in society is they're making things so stupid and just obvious lies that you're kind of like, oh well, that can't be a lie. It's such an obvious lie. No way somebody would bring such an obvious lie to the table, right? But that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Um, my stomach is hurting. My stomach is hurting bad. I'll talk about that after I kind of go through the information. I've talked about it a little bit. Something happened with those probiotics. I'm not sure. There's could be a couple of different things, but I had to stop taking them. Well, this is the first, maybe second day I've stopped taking them, and things are settling down. But let me get through this information, guys. I hope everybody's hanging in there. It's beyond rough. It's beyond rough. I don't know what's a non PC way to say it. I mean, like getting my brain cooked and my body cooked, and it's. I know that a lot of you guys are you going through so much pain. We've got some avenues now, most definitely, and I'm just trying. Like it's hard to think because the mind control is so bad. It's so bad. But the memory thing is better. I think the deal was like when I was doing live streams, they were practicing on the memory dissolution. So when I'm talking and I'm not really organized, talking for a long time, they were really, really working on that and some other things, since I was doing live streams for so long. And so I think switching it up, it's like now they're going to try and maybe switch up their protocol for whatever I'm doing now, right? So it sucks because you want to be consistent when you're putting out information or doing activism or anything. But with this, you have to switch footing because your attackers, if you're doing one thing for a long time, anyway, y'all know that. Um, it's just more horrible than people could ever think. I mean, like I'll just give y'all one example, right? Out of all the horror is like every time I try and get comfortable in my house, the man's voice, which could be Chatterbox or it could be one of the Hive Mind members, depending on what time they're doing it, depending on it, whatever. Whenever I try and get comfortable, like the dude will in a military, kind of in a military voice, go, "All right, let's get it, let's get it on. Let's like, I'm not kidding around, right? So like, I mean, saying words like we're about to try and hurt him, and it's been for like decades, right? It's been from at least 2013 was when they started doing the kind of like acting like they're military hit me like that. The V2K before was just where it sounded like I could hear my upstairs neighbors, and they switched that over. But it's awful when you're feeling so much pain, and then you have the V2K, and they're like, "All right, yeah, I'm not effing around anymore. Let's finish this guy. I'm tired." Like the guy always said, "I'm tired. I want to finish. I want to wrap him up." And then what I say in my head is, I'm like, well, because they want to get me like in a mental institution or hospital or something like that or jail. They want to get me to the next place, and I've talked about this years ago. So, sorry guys. Yeah, I talked about this years ago. And in my head, I'm like, well, if you guys get me into a mental institution, you're still going to torture me in there until I'm dead. So wherever they get you, they're still going to torture you. So why do they want to get you to these other places to do it? I guess it's because it's harder for us if we're in a place where they're controlling everything. Like the mental institution would be controlling all your environment and everything. It's harder for us to, I guess, defend, get away from it, go outside, try and get help, things like that. Like that's been working. Um, excuse me, my stomach hurts. I'm a little bit ornery today. It was really bad. It was really bad, and I think that not well. Let's go through this information. Maybe I should have done a ranting video first. Okay, so we know about this, right? This is Mark Polymeropoulos. Former CIA officer, details Havana syndrome. He says he suffered in Moscow, an act of war. An act of war. Listen to that tough CIA agents say that like him getting hit with microwaves is like an act of war because it's like they're weapons and they really hurt and they really hurt. And the ironic thing is the citizens that have been getting hit for so many more years than some of these governmental workers are going through a lot more painful torture. I mean, they're doing things to my brain where sometimes it's like I'll have a thought and I'm like, is that my thought or are they putting that in there? Because they've been doing it so long, right? At the beginning, they put a little like using frequencies to do an inner voice thought, and I'm like, that's definitely not me. That's so obvious, right? But as they fine tune it and match it to my electrochemical processes, it's like then it's like, oh, that's something that I would think, right? I've talked about this. Very bad stuff. It's very bad stuff that ain't no good. That ain't no good, and it's got to be stopped, right? Maybe, maybe Putin will stop it. Maybe Putin will stop it. Maybe Biden, when he goes and sees Putin, I don't think he's going to stand. They were saying something where it's like Biden's not going to stand next to him, and I think that's a smart move because I just saw a bunch of like things online of Putin like talking about things. Maybe he is like this big killer or whatever. I don't think so. Like what he's saying, he says that like the world is based on religion and these traditional things, and that the like socialism and progressivism is dying out because it never works, right? Putin's saying that, right? Obviously, somebody in that went through communist Russia and everything in the USSR and all that stuff. He knows how much it doesn't work. It's going to be interesting though, the Biden Putin thing. I hear Putin and I'm like, he makes a lot of sense. He makes a lot of sense, but I'm not sure. I'm sure he has to do really bad things. Well, I won't get into that. I may get into that after I do this. I'm going to try and compromise and do short videos, but not too short because that's too hard for me to do. We'll maybe get there. Oh man, hold on, guys. My ears. I got so much stuff in my ears. The noise canceling hearing aids and. This is bad. Might have to start this video. Oh, hurts my ears, and then they'll like shoot directed energy at the ear so that it causes like compression. All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm cool. Hold on, I'm cool. Is my hair good? I got a haircut. I think I told y'all. I think that's good. All right, guys. So, a retired CIA officer who says he has been a victim of so-called Havana syndrome calls the mysterious and debilitating neurological symptoms an act of war against U.S. officials. And many citizens around the world are being tortured and experimented on by their military-industrial complexes of each country. And sometimes, if it's a smaller country, it's going to be these international contractors from America or the UK going in. Think about this. You got a smaller country that's allied with America, and they don't have this technology. And America says, look, we're going to give you some of this technology. We're going to give you integrated directed energy weapons and integrated neuroweapon systems. We're going to bring them in there, We want the data, but we want our contractors to actually be doing the work. So America, with contractors with military clearance, these are private businesses with military clearances, are torturing and experimenting on allied countries, people in allied countries during peacetime. You see what I'm saying? You see the crimes that they're committing here. We understand why they're covering it up, right? Because they've gone so far. They're doing war crimes in other countries. I mean, you've got Mossad basically in Black Cube in the United States operating on American soil to torture citizens, to torture and maybe even sometimes kill citizens, right? So everything is foobar beyond belief, you know. A retired CI who says he's been the victim of so-called Havana syndrome, and they're going to keep that word, right? The most awful word for this, because I'll explain at the end. It's so bad that they're doing that, and I've said it a million times. It's a definite purposeful thing, right? To make everybody think, because I'll show you what this guy says at the end here. Check this out. Calls the mysterious and debilitating neurological symptoms an act of war against U.S. officials and just Americans and other citizens being hit by it, because it's retarded to think that just Russia has these weapons. They would have taken over the world. If Russia just had directed energy weapons and nobody else knew about them or anything like that, then they would have taken over the world. Like Joe Biden, they would have remote neural manipulated him to do whatever they wanted, right? Which is a weird thing that I wanted to talk about. Putin and political leaders, are they protected? Yeah, I think they are. Are they enhanced? Is Putin's brain enhanced by some of this technology? Have they made? Let me get to that at the end. It's a weird thing to just say. It's a weird thing to just say. I need to explain all that. And of course, it would be conjecture, but it would be conjecture with me knowing how proliferated directed energy weapons and neuro weapons are being used, right, all over the place, right? So let me get to some of this. Okay, Mark Polymeropoulos ran clandestine. I always used to say clandestine, but it's clandestine. I guess it's not that big of a difference. Operations across Europe and Asia for the Central Intelligence Agency. So when he traveled to Moscow in 2017, the watching eyes of Russian intelligence did not faze him. Even in my hotel room, I'd go to the gym, and a guy in a black trench coat comes down and checks on me down there. He told CBS News senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge, not unexpected, part of the job. Then, in his hotel room, the trip took a dangerous turn. I woke up in the middle of the night because I had this incredible case of vertigo. It felt almost as if I was in some kind of carnival ride. And I'll tell you, Catherine, I had spent years in the war zones of Iraq and Afghanistan. I put my life on the line. This was the most terrifying experience of my life. I had no control. Polymeropoulos said he experienced pressure in his head, a loss of balance, and ringing in the ears. So, and I'll tell you all what I think. I think this guy really did get hit. I think he's a CIA agent, and he really did get hit. But I want to say why I think that he's saying this stuff. Let's see if it's this. Back in the U.S., Polymeropoulos reported to the CIA medical office. I said, "Is this consistent with Havana syndrome?" And their answer was no. See right there, that's when I went to Dr. Hoffer. He said, "You don't have exactly what the people with the Cuban embassy workers with Havana syndrome have, because they were specific weapon systems and specific protocols, specific frequencies to the vestibular system that actually left marks within the inner ear." But what the problem is this, that they're taking this first batch of people who were hit, and they're saying this is the baseline for what's really Havana syndrome, right? Because they're like, trying to obfuscate things and say it's a medical condition and stuff like that. But as targeted individuals, me and you guys and people who know about this, we know that different protocols and different frequencies are used to interact with the brain, the body, and the nervous system, right? So almost on a lot of targeted individuals, things are going to be kind of different because there's so many frequency ranges that they can do things to our brain and our body. So the way that they're looking at this Bass Ackwards is going to stall it even more, which is part of the purpose here. But they're saying like, oh, you don't have the exact symptoms of the Cuban embassy workers, so we're not sure because we're basing that as a medical mystery, right? Which is this is just all crazy, right? Everything in the world is crazy now. Asymmetrical warfare on the whole population from the top of the pyramid, using the layers down that are gonna hurt other people and then just kill themselves. So we know it's really crazy. The lies have gotten so stacked, and they practice the lies so much that it's like to unwind it. There's so many layers. It's not just lying about one thing. They lie about so many layers that your brain just goes, how do people lie in layers like that? How does that happen? Like how does that exist, right? And it's very dangerous. It's violently dangerous. Lies are violently dangerous. And I'll say that as a fact. um Havana syndrome is the name given to a mysterious neurological condition. And I want to say that maybe back in the day when like the world wasn't so dangerous, there wasn't so much asymmetrical warfare, you could kind of get away from the New World Order. Go ahead and lie. Say you didn't drink any beer the night before and you did, or I don't know, whatever. It probably wouldn't be a big deal. In this world that we live in, with the New World Order coming in so hard, we better all tell the truth because all of our lives are on the line. Every lie that is told stalls and kills some more kids and women. And I'm not like just saying that dramatically. I'm saying it like it's the truth because it is the truth. Havana syndrome is the name given to a mysterious neurological condition. That's why I don't want to make videos. Like my eyes are gonna pop out onto the screen, and I'm just gonna start, ripping down everything in my room. Like yeah, right. Some little 40-year-old citizen, who worked at Dell knows more about the Pentagon and the CIA about what hit the Cuban embassy workers and these agents, right? We'll use that common sense there to know that they're lying. If anybody in the world, I know you guys that watch my channel, they're lying. But if anybody's in here and you're like, nah, the CIA and the Pentagon wouldn't lie, they probably don't know what it is. Do you think that I know what hit them and the Pentagon and the CIA don't? You know? All right. Okay. So, Havana syndrome is a name given to a mysterious neurological condition first reported by the State Department personnel in Cuba 5 years ago who experienced a similar set of symptoms. There have been at least 130 suspected cases. There have been probably tens of thousands and thousands of reports alone in America to senators, the State Department, the NIH, and DHS, right? Thousands, but they're saying there's about 130 suspected cases because they're covering up all of that. And I'll show you what this guy in the State Department says at the end of this. We knew this was going to happen. We still just got to bombard, and we haven't seen what the UN is going to do with this information yet. But that's why on the last video, and I hope I'm wrong, guys. I hope, but we have a ways to go. Like we have a ways to go to force them to help us, and it is going to be to force our countries and the institutions within that have not been doing this but didn't know about it and are learning about it, force them to help us, right? It's going to be that we need to force them to help us because they won't do it willingly. Like even this is the thing, right? Like how I'm always saying, well, those senators, probably a lot of them don't even know about this. They're just told about the directed energy weapons, right? And that it hits boats and stuff like that. Probably they told them about the CIA agents getting hit and the Cuban embassy workers, but they didn't say that the citizens are being hit. All these senators in the Intelligence Committee got probably thousands of emails from every targeted individual, at least just in the United States, but I think probably targeted individuals in other countries also sent them emails. So now these Senate intelligence senators and probably other senators who are just around, they definitely know it's 100%. Maybe they knew before, but I was willing to be like, oh, maybe they just don't know. No, they know 100%. We have senators who know 100% that citizens are being tortured and they're keeping their mouths shut, right? Susan Collins wrote something. I'm going to do another video on it. She wrote about the legislation. I might just read that and then go quickly through the legislation on my next video. But she, wrote that the investigation is continuing, right? I just don't have a lot of confidence in that because it's like she's not in charge of anything. She's just a senator, and she goes in there, and the Pentagon and the CIA tell her what to do, right? They tell her what to say, and they're like, if you want to say something else, well, we'll kill your family. We'll torture you, whatever. We'll cause a political stir, which I think she actually had some kind of election fraud thing come up during that time, which is very suspicious. And a lot of you guys kind of caught on to that. Brain trauma suffered by U.S. diplomats abroad could be the work of hostile foreign governments. I would say, some of them probably are, and then some of them are probably the United States hitting them to blame other countries, false flagging it, right? But how definitely probably Russian intelligence is definitely hitting some CIA agents who are pretending to be other things to get them out of their country, right? That's kind of, and I'm 100% positive that the United States has done the same thing to foreign actors, like whatever a Chinese secret agent is. I don't know what you'd call them. CBS News is, what would you call it? Chinese special agent? A ninja? Is that racist? Let's move on. Okay, CBS News has learned that suspected cases are spread across at least 6 countries. CBS News has learned that suspected cases are spread across at least 6 countries. No, it's every country, even small countries, where people are getting tortured and experimented on. So they're saying the suspected cases that they're looking at and then covering up all the other ones, the ones that they're willing to say happen, are spread out across 6 countries. And among Defense Department employees, and among Defense Department employees, and that's wrong. Like most of this, the majority of directed energy murders, torture, and experimentation is being done to citizens in every country, tens of thousands, if not 100,000s, if not millions, and we're not sure. And we're not sure because you can't see the signal going to the cell phone, right? And a lot of people, I mean, that's a bad example, but a lot of people who are being targeted don't want to come forward because they know that they're going to be labeled crazy, which you still are. Even though it's like, yeah, remote directed energy weapon attacks do exist. People are being hit by these, but if a citizen says so, and I had a friend who texted me, I got to text him back because I'm just like I've been dealing with the stomach thing and my brain just sometimes it's like when I won't go into all that, but when I get on here, I'm in a different brain state because of what I'm doing, and it seems to be easier. But then I like get off, and then I'm like alone, and the mind control seems to be a lot worse, because it's a brain state that I'm always in, right? I don't know, I'm not sure about that, but this stuff is bad. This stuff is really bad, and we will fight. CBS News has learned that suspected cases spread across at least 6 countries and among Defense Department employees, often occurring near active Russian operations. BS. BS. I've had a headache for 3 years, he said. It feels like a vice clamp down here, and there's pressure that comes over the top of my head. Yeah, that's like what I have every day, and it's like it's weird. My stomach hurt, and it felt like there was a kind of a change in things of like how my brain felt, right? And it wasn't my attackers that were doing that, but all this pain stopped because my brain was in a different resonance with that certain kind of pain, and all this stopped. But then whenever the stomach pain started getting better, this pain kind of came back. So whatever my attackers are doing, it does have to do with your brain resonance, whatever state, resonant state your brain's in. If you get into a different resonant state, you may feel a lot better, and some of the automated things and manual things that they're doing can like really lighten up. It's really weird. It's very, very weird. So I want to get to this stuff at the bottom here. Explosions. Illinois chemical plant explodes. Whoa, that just happened today? There's like a mass shooting every day, an explosion every day. The China threat. Now they're saying China's prepping for war against us. I mean, we're exactly like China, so I don't know why China would go to war with us. Everybody says like, oh, we don't want to become like China. Department of Homeland Security is just like the Communist Chinese Party. They're torturing and murdering American citizens. They're covering it up. They're torturing, targeting, surveilling political dissidents, regular people, just to learn, what they can get them to do. Like Department of Homeland Security is covering up this whole incident, right? Because they don't want people to learn that citizens all over the world are being tortured. Well, you can say they don't want people to know that citizens in the United States are being tortured, right? Department of Homeland Security. But Department of Homeland Security is very evil. I think Americans are like Department of Homeland Security, American freedom. Yeah, they're fighting for national security. No, no, no. They're like the Chinese Communist Party. They're murdering people. They're detaining people. They're very evil. Department of Homeland Security has no it doesn't care about homeland security at all. Like it cares about doing what globalists want them to do and then covering those evil things up while trying to destroy America. These are just facts, man. These are just facts. They're trying to destroy America. If they destroy America first, America has so much it has so much influence on the rest of the world that if America falls, other countries will fall and they'll be able to put them back together in this new world order thing, right? They're doing this thing, this master plan that I thought was like I didn't really think it was that crazy, but I was like, maybe they're going to do it in the year 3000 or something like that. Not in my lifetime will it happen. But they're going through with the master plan of murdering a lot of people on the earth, in making it a one world order. They're doing that. They're spreading it out, right? It's gonna take a while, and it'll be like really bad times, and it won't be all the way there, and then we'll have some good times. Then it'll go back to really, really bad times, and they'll kind of wiggle their way to what they want, right? Using many, many different angles, like economics, food supply, virology, right? Which would the pandemic, the jab, getting people more transhumanized so that they can surveil more and control more and see more. And if they have a problem, if they have a person that's like a good moral man or woman who wants to fight for people and can influence and inspire, right? And I ain't talking about me. I'm talking about like big dudes and big women who like inspire tons of people. They can get them out of there, right? Um, okay, so he said it took 3 years to get help at Walter Reed Military Hospital. They diagnosed me with a traumatic brain injury. It's on paper. I have it. So why, when I went to my neurologist, did he say like I did the DTI and they said everything looks normal? Because they were probably lying. So I'm going to get my other DTI and I'm going to see. My whole thing right now is like I've been hurt so bad by this, right? My brain's been so hurt. It's like I'm fighting them in my brain 24 hours and it's burning up neurons. That's what has happened this whole time. I'm trying to use my willpower, my mental energy, and get with God on this, but it's like a clash. They're trying to control the brain and do these things and twist it and rape it, and I'm trying to like, keep myself and get with God. So it's just too much for my brain. Anyway, even if I like accomplish victories and like kind of beat the mind control and stuff like that, it's so much energy and pressure to the brain all the time that it's causing these neurological degeneration, right? I'm not sure how much like because if they took off the automated remote neural manipulation, I'm not sure. I know they have stuff that's automated and it can make me depressed just like until they'll take it off sometimes and let me feel normal for a little while is what I think is happening. I don't want to scare anybody who's a new target individual. I've been targeted for like a very long time. So you probably don't have to worry about like really. Well, I don't know. Every situation is kind of different, so I don't want to speak to anybody else's situation. Okay, so They diagnosed me with a traumatic brain injury. It's on paper. I have it. We need to get that. Like, we need to get a doctor who will give us on paper, you have a traumatic brain injury. Then, oh, didn't hit my head or anything, but I've been hit with microwaves, right? And that's part of proof that we can bring to court, things like that. Polymeropoulos' CIA colleague, who was also affected, painted a picture called The Gunshot during their Walter Reed art therapy sessions. This is the invisible wound that, no one believed us for a long time. Yeah, it does feel like an invisible. I don't know. It doesn't feel like an invisible wound for me. It feels like they get worse and worse and hurt my brain more and more and have more and more cognitive deficits. And then I'm not sure if it's. I'm actually sure it's not damage to the brain that's giving me cognitive deficits. It's automated streams. It's like one bidirectional stream, but it's like a cell phone. A cell phone gets a stream of energy to it, but a lot of data can go through that stream, right? So that's kind of like this remote neural manipulation works. It's like a bidirectional stream to your brain, but then they can they digitize it basically. They're digitizing your brain, the clone, like mapping it. It's a digitized clone, and then they can, with that bidirectional stream, do things to all parts of your brain, right? Automate it sometimes, manually practice on some parts. The things that they're doing manually, make it automated, put it into the system. The AI then just does it all the time. That's kind of what I've experienced, from the to the best of my knowledge and ability. So the National Academies of Sciences recently found the most plausible explanation was pulsed radio frequency energy. They're trying to stay away from terms like microwave energy, the National Academies of Sciences, because pulsed radio frequency energy sounds like a little bit more not as dangerous. I think they actually did that to microwave hearing. Like, it used to be microwave hearing, the patent is. Maybe you can find both, but I know that I found one patent that was like radio frequency hearing, right? And I was looking for microwave hearing, and I kept pulling up radio frequency hearing. So it seemed like that was changed. Like, microwave hearing, the patent was changed to radio frequency hearing. Check that out, guys. Check that out. Maybe I'll bring it up on another video. Um, there are no public images of the alleged device. A knowledgeable source told CBS News that the technology behind a Russian-made microwave generator from the 90s is likely similar to today's smaller mobile units. Okay, like, they're way off. These technologies, there's been training, research, and development for many, many years. Russia's been developing integrated directed energy weapon systems. The contractors talk about them. I should have pulled up a contractors page where they talk about the integrated directed energy weapon systems. It's not these things on big trucks. They do use those on crowds and things, but it's things that use satellite to microwave, satellite to radar, satellite to drone. And it's like a computer setup, right, that's connected to all this stuff. A communications weapon system, like integrated directed energy weapon systems, integrated neuro weapon systems. All these people in the Pentagon, and, like, I don't, why wouldn't James G. Adorno come out and talk about this? Why is he being quiet when this is blowing up? Because he knows so much. He knows that they're doing this in America. Why wouldn't he, the number one advisor on neuro technology and neuro weapons to the Pentagon, wouldn't come out during this time and talk about it? Has he? Have I missed it? Maybe I missed it. I haven't been keeping up on things. This is funny. CBS News has also learned that the U.S. government is fast-tracking sensor technology to detect these mysterious energy events. Like, the lies are just so bad. Like, the U.S. government, the military-industrial complex has this technology. It has things that can sense it. It has these things. It's more advanced than Russia. We're probably neck and neck or a little bit more advanced in integrated directed energy weapon systems and integrated neuro weapons than Russia is. That's why I'm kind of like, I listen to Putin and he makes a lot of sense, and I'm like, they're saying he's a monster, and they all hate him because he doesn't want to join the New World Order. He wants to be autonomous. Maybe he's not a monster because everybody's saying I'm a monster in my community, and law enforcement vehicularly stalks me, and citizens stalk me and spit at me and stuff like that. And I'm being microwaved to death, and my attackers on the V2K are like, he's evil, we got to do away with him. And like, I'm not evil, obviously. Um, so I look at Putin and the way the world, all the other countries are against him, and I'm kind of like, maybe he's really good, and maybe I should move to Russia because that he tends to take a more traditionalist, like they're Orthodox Christians there, and it seems like they want to keep their sovereignty and their democracy. They do have a democracy. It's not a republic or anything like that. I don't know. I kind of want to do a video. I don't know. I'm thinking of some stuff. I don't want to. Speak to you guys, but I'm thinking of some stuff, guys. I'm getting through some stuff, thinking of some stuff, doing some stuff. We're doing. Let's get going, right? Let's get going. Let's go. Let's go. I feel so hard, like off of the videos. Like I'm just like, but then I get on here, and I guess I do have some adrenaline left. Let's get this done. I'm very upset because it's just like I thought there would be a little bit more. I'm always hopeful, but like I know I'm not naive, and we all kind of talked about like, they're still going to cover it up and stuff like that. But so many people sent in emails and sign petitions and everything, and it just shows you the power of information control. It shows you how much information control that the top-down structure has, right? That even when it's like the public pretty much knows, like the public's heard about targeted individuals for years and years and years, right? Everybody's kind of heard about it, said they're mentally ill, and then this stuff comes out, and it kind of the public starts thinking, oh, all those targeted, and so the public kind of knows this is just these weapons are being used everywhere, and yet they still carry out these little plays, right? These little plays like, it's this mysterious medical thing, and this is to stall so that more women and children can be tortured and surveilled and raped with microwaves. That's why they do this, right? So national security is now stalling so more people can be tortured for longer amounts of time and they can collect data from it. Like I said on one of my other videos, like me and you guys that are targeted, and ladies, right, too, we're trying to stop this. That's real national security, stopping the deaths of innocent Americans, the torture of innocent Americans, because it's not just killing Americans would be merciful compared to this, because they just run you down. And like now, I mean, I'll get in bed. Well, when my stomach was hurting, especially, I got in bed and I was literally like my head, like I couldn't think, and like my jaw, I couldn't move my jaw, and like I couldn't think at all, and my body couldn't move, and I was like so tortured and tired that I was like a lump of flesh just sitting in my bed. And the dude on V2K is like, "Oh, I'm tired. Let's get this guy." Like it's a fight to him, and I'm just like, I've been tortured for decades. Like tortured extremely bad since 2011. Stuff was done to me before then that really, really hurt, but I don't know what was then, what was Crohn's. It was all mixed in, you know. But since 2011, torture, extreme torture, where my body and my brain are just like, sometimes I can't, it's not like I'm catatonic, like I'm there, but my body is just so tired that it's not even moving. And these people on these directed energy weapon systems are like, let's go, let's get him. And they're full of energy and just killing me while I'm sleeping. And my body's just limp. My body's just limp. And they're like, let's go, let's get him, right? I mean, terrifying. It's so terrifying and enraging, right? That's the word we used to use. Enraging times a million, that people would have that, like, they're this is what I was thinking, right? We watched Terminator, we watched the movie Terminator, right? We've all seen that, huh? Terminator, all the Terminator movies, and we're all worried about, like, they're gonna build machines, right? They're gonna build the Terminators, and the Terminators are gonna be metal, and they're gonna be like, hey, come with me if you want to die, and stuff like that. But the thing is, these humans that are on this, well, maybe they also got some demons in them too. But I think that it's more, they're Terminators. They've been programmed. through the military, through masonry, through these contractors, through the peer pressure, through just saying this is what's done in the system, right? Almost knocked a can of Mountain Dew just across the room. But they're the Terminators. It's more scary that these human beings can be turned into Terminators. Like their brains, like this dude on V2K is like, we've got to do this. Like they'll say it. So the woman's like, this guy is not a bad guy. I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't right. Could be a psyop, whatever. But the guy's like, it doesn't matter. We got to do it. And even the guy's telling me he's sorry now. The guy's like, sorry, dude. We got to do this. Like you're a Terminator. If you can't make a choice not to do something completely evil and turn it around, well, then you're brainwashed, and you might as well be a freaking Terminator. You might as well have a CPU. I don't remember. I don't remember the type of the the chip. What was the chip? Quantum processing, whatever. You know, that's what these people are. They're like Terminators. They're turning human beings into Terminators, and then well, at least my Terminators that are on me are connecting my brain to the AI to make the AI stronger. So murdering my human body, all of my divinity. They can't murder my divinity, but you know what I'm saying. They're trying to. I think of them as they're so brainwashed, and satanic, and so demon infested, and their brains have been turned into a CPU central unit, thing. And I mean by like so much brainwashing, where they're like, we have to murder Americans, right? And I'm talking about the attackers. I ain't talking about us. It's like I feel like every time I say something like in context that sound like that out of context could sound bad, I'm like, oh, they probably got that on surveillance and they're showing it to DHS fusion centers. Um, okay, so in recent months, 2 suspected cases were reported near the White House. See, I think that those cases were American contractors hitting people near the White House so that they could be like, oh, Russia's trying to hit us with directed energy weapons, so that they can try and reveal Russia's directed energy weapon plan, right? When the Cuban embassy attacks may have been Russia's psyop to actually try and bring out, the directed energy programs in the United States. So this is clearly an escalation, said Republican Senator Susan Collins, who authored legislation that gets victims medical and I'll show you all that on the next video. This is clearly an escalation, said Republican Senator Susan Collins, who authored legislation that gets intelligence agency victims. Doesn't even, it's not even like a general governmental word. It's like um like I'll read it to y'all, but it's very, very narrow in who it's going to help, right? And they meant to do that because if they say, oh, it's just going to help everybody, then they've got to help us. They've got to help the maybe millions of people in America who are being hit with these technologies. Okay, so this is clearly an escalation. That get victims. On the Senate floor, Collins said the bill will provide much needed assistance to the employees of the intelligence community, right? So, and I sent her an email saying I was an American citizen and I was being hit by stuff. How many thousands of targeted individuals sent Susan Collins emails? Thousands. She knows. She knows. So that's why I think that she's saying on this other thing, I'll show y'all too, not on this video, but that's why I think she's saying that, the investigation's going to continue. They're covering it up. Like you got regular senators covering up the torture and experimentation of citizens. And I guarantee you they justify it. I would guarantee you that they say, well, DHS Fusion Center needs to surveil and punish those people who may commit crimes in the future or whatever if they think we're criminals or terrorists or whatever, and give them morbidity and hurt them so they don't do anything bad because there's so many false flag shootings, right? So they create the false flag shootings with the mind control, with the integrated neuroweapon systems, but then they say, well, we don't want any false flag shootings, so we need to surveil these people with microwaves and maybe even hit them with microwaves to keep them from going out and do false flag shootings, right? That may just be one angle they take on lying to people about it, right? So they cause it and they say we need to do it more to stop it. But when they do it more, it causes more of that problem, and they know it, right? And they know it. I really shouldn't get mad about this stuff. I'm trying to get to a point where it's like I'm giving it up to God. I've been so tortured that I want this to end, but yeah, I want this to end, but I'm like 40 years old, and no, I want this to end. I'm gonna keep fighting against it. I mean, that's not even a choice, right? That's the thing. It's like I talked to some other target, and this is a bunch of target individuals I talked to, kind of, and they're like, not just one or anything like that, but they're kind of like, well, you just got to ignore it and kind of go on with your life, right? And I guess there's a lot of different protocols for the torture, but with me, it's like what they're doing to my brain. Um, it's crucial that I get this off. I can't, like, my brain will continue to, like, with the automated systems, my memory will continue to get worse. The cognitive problems will continue to get worse, and I'll be less and less of myself physically, right? So for me, it's not really a choice to just be like, oh, well, I'll just go and have fun and can try and ignore this, right? Which is kind of, it's not a, I mean, we're all going through different stuff. Not downplaying anybody's thing, not downplaying what anybody's going through if you're being targeted at all. But some of this is like, I mean, it's brutal, brutal, intensive. It's like it's somebody might as well be cutting open my brain and changing things in my brain, you know, with what they're doing, with how long they've been doing it, right? For me, how long they were doing it made a big impact on, like, these last couple of years. The mind control has been bad. I don't know if some people and right up front start getting mind controlled super horribly, but it was like my mind was very resistant, and it was very obvious when they were doing remote neural manipulation things. But as they beat my body down and everything through a decade, right, through this decade that we've lived in, this awful, awful decade, it got easier for them to do things with my brain that seem more natural, right, and to do more angles, right, more automated angles in the brain. Because that's how I see it. I see it. They do manual things to the brain, your emotions, triggers, and things like that, and then they can put them into for the automated system to do it. It's having V2K helps me to see how they do remote neural manipulation a lot better, because the V2K at the beginning was manual. It was people just speaking into a microphone. It modulates that to a microwave, right, for microwave hearing. And so it's manual, but then they started to say the same things over and over again, right? And that's Chatterbox, right? That's Chatterbox. So that's the same way I think mine is being done, and a lot of y'all's is being done. You have human operators, and they're like, well, oh, they're really emotional about this thing. Well, let's give them a trigger for that, and then they put it into the automated system. Now, some people think it's the AI completely making those decisions, right? But from my experience, some of these things were so cruelly creative. How do you say that? So creatively cruel, that it's just like, and it seemed like only a human being would be able to see certain things that, you know, bugged me the way they did. Hard to explain. Okay, so I think the two incidents at the White House, I think that's American contractors doing that, or actually even maybe the CIA or the DIA, maybe operational, maybe an intelligence agency operationally hitting somebody near the White House to do a false flag to say, oh, it's Russia, right? I definitely think that's what that is, because I don't think Russia would be hitting people near the White House, you know. This is clearly an escalation, said Republican senators. Okay, so we already read that. This bill will provide much needed assistance to the employees of the intelligence community, the State Department, and other federal agencies. This bill, much needed assistance to the employees of the intelligence community, the State Department, and other federal agencies. Listen to what this guy says. That's so disappointing. It's not disappointing. We knew it was going to happen. We knew they were going to stall. We knew they were going to cover up. Still disappointing, even though we knew that that was going to happen. And it doesn't matter. We still have our marks, right? We still have crux points. What would I call this to just normal work? We still got our spots, right? Where we can send emails and ask for help. We got the UN. We got the overflow the NIH. It's so stupid that the NIH is taking reports on this. It's so stupid that the DHS is taking reports on this because they are complicit and they participate in this with gang stalking, vehicular stalking, all that stuff that they call surveillance. DHS Fusion Center knows all about this. Department of Homeland Security is covering up the murder of citizens, the torture and experimentation and murder of citizens. I don't care. Like, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for these videos. My attackers are already rumbling and stuff like that. I don't care. I can't live in a world where everybody's lying. I don't care about my safety. I care about y'all's safety. I care about my family's safety, which I screwed over by making videos. Like, they almost murdered my dad for just starting a YouTube channel. I think. I'm not sure. Maybe he was targeted first. I don't care, though. I won't live in a world like this. God puts it in my heart to fight this. And also, I think we can do this. Like, I really think that we can change. I really do. The problem with that is, with the way my brain is right now, I can't see. Like, I'm praying about it. I see see where we can hit, right? I see where we can hit, and then there's so many other things that target individuals, organizations, and the activism and everything that's going to just swell, right? Many organizations being built, investigations in other countries that are probably going to pop up soon, except in China. Probably not going to have anything in China about this, unless they can be forced by another country, to do that, or I don't know. It's all those things like the China consulate, the Moscow thing, Cuban embassy attack, Cuban embassy attack, Cuban intelligence. I think it was Russia. I think it was Russia to bring out to like make citizens start asking about these directed energies, so America would have to cover things up, and hopefully it would come out right. But then I think that the China consulate attack was China consulate attack may have been wrong. No, I don't. No. What my point is that I do think that this Moscow thing. I really do think that that Mark Polymeropoulos got hit by this stuff, and then he tried to get help from the CIA, right? And then he went to Walter Reed Hospital. And I think he probably talked to some people in the CIA, and they said, well, we'll give you monetary support, and we'll give you a retirement fund, and we'll give you medical care and stuff like that. But this is what you got to say, right? So people are saying we don't like. Some people were saying like he's probably just like a crisis actor or something. Didn't get hit. I think it's kind of like that. He did get hit, but then he talks to some people in the CIA, and they say we'll give you a good retirement fund. We'll give you some money. We'll give you medical care. We'll give you the best stuff that you can get as this stuff comes out. But you gotta push our narrative. You gotta say that it's like Russia, right? When the guy, I'm sure that CIA agent, oh, you don't think he studied any of this throughout those 3 years and saw that many Americans are being hit by it, right? Let's just use our logic here. Does anybody have any logic anymore? I'm looking for logic. I'm looking for logic. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? I got a bunch of bags of logic right there. I'm just joking. All my viewers have lots of common sense. You're great viewers. I really do love you guys. And we're gonna do a lot. I'm just thinking and praying, and I feel like it's the best thing to hit some of those marks with as much information. But then there's the calls. I'm like looking. I wanted to call the NIH this morning, but I can't find a good number for it. So I decided I just found this new article, and it has some interesting things, like where like the thing where they said it's not exactly what the Cuban embassy attacks, the Cuban embassy workers. They told Mark Palmeropoulos it didn't match that, right, and that's what Dr. Hoffer told me. I thought that was very interesting, and there's another thing at the end that's very interesting. So, in a moment of rare bipartisanship, the Senate passed the bill unanimously last week. Herridge asked, "Is Russia responsible?" "Russia is certainly a likely suspect," Collins replied. Every country's doing this, guys. It's a directed energy neuroweapons Cold War, but it's worse than that because every country, in smaller countries allied with bigger countries, are experimenting and torturing thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands, maybe millions of citizens in their countries, right? This is huge. This isn't what they're saying at all. Not at all. And you'll see this guy at the end where he's like, let me get to it. Reading this stuff, I'm sorry that I'm acting like I'm acting, guys. I'm sure it's entertaining for some of y'all. But I'm sorry. It's so crazy. This is so like I'm being murdered. Like in the maintenance guy. Like I walk out there and he's like working on something. And he'll like be on his phone, like he's trying to like. I think he's really talking on the phone, but he tries to like act a little weird around me because he thinks I'm like schizophrenic or something. I'm being tortured by microwaves. And I think that we've all been pretty freaking strong through this. Like, you know, people need to listen to us. Like we are human beings too. If we're not human beings anymore, then no one's human beings. If there's justice for none, if there's what's the saying? Justice for none. Justice if there's not justice for one, there's justice for none. And that's probably not the saying, but it sounds good. Um, and that's what's happening. If we're not human beings and we can just be experimented on and lied about, then anybody can. And people need to understand that. But what they're doing is they're like, I'm not getting hit right now, right? And so that's what's happened throughout all of history. The people who aren't really taking it on the chin, like in World War II and stuff like that, in Mao Zedong's China, they were like, no worries, I'll just keep working for these evil guys and I'll be safe. No, you won't. No, let me tell you, these microwave attackers, anybody who's doing community place harassment or cyber place harassment or whatever, anything you're doing to work for these programs, you're not safe. You are not going to earn a seat at the table at all. Like you hear this, I think these people that work for these programs, they hear us say that, and they're like, that's just what they're saying because they're being. No, it is factual. You are not safe. You are creating a world that will be dangerous for your children and you. This is, this is all Ned in the first read. We all know this. Okay, so let me read this BS. Russia is certainly a likely suspect, Collins replied. President Biden should send an unmistakable message to the Russians that if they are behind these attacks, they must stop them immediately. We have to have full cooperation from the Russians or they must be made to pay the price. Now, can we get the United States of America to stop torturing and murdering their people first, and then maybe worry about some CIA agent who got hit in Russia who was lying to Russia? Got in there, he was a CIA agent, and Russia wanted him out because they were like, this spy is in our country doing who knows what? Can we take care of the citizens who didn't agree to go risk their lives anywhere and are being tortured worse than that dude? I would guarantee you 1,000,000%. This is me, Kyle. Guarantee you 1,000,000% that my torture is way worse than that dude's torture. I would guarantee you, I would give you all the money in my pocket right now. Not the paper money, but the coins. Give you that right there. All right, so so still unable to concentrate for more than a few hours at a time, Polymeropoulos made the hard decision to retire from the agency he loves. And he probably got a fat retirement, fat retirement check. Like he's going to be set up as long as he talks about this right? As long as he says this is Russia. I guarantee you, he looked the stuff up. He knows America's doing it to people. If he's in the CIA, he's looked up how intelligence agencies are using these integrated weapon systems. The contractors, the contractors under our intelligence agencies and the DoD talk about integrated directed energy weapon systems, lasers, high power microwaves, all these things out in the open, and they're still allowed to put an article out like this saying that Russia is, insinuating that Russia is the only one with these weapons and everybody has to fast track. I guarantee you that's what they're going to say. They're going to blame Russia, and then they're going to say, well, now the U.S. and the Pentagon and they have to fast track these weapons. They have to catch up, right? And they're going to act like the last 70 years of torture, murders, and experimentation of human beings was fast tracked in about 5 years or something like that. Okay, so still unable to concentrate for more than a few hours at a time, Polymeropoulos made the hard decision to retire from the agency he loves. Yeah, I mean, I can't concentrate. I can concentrate a couple minutes, you know. Who feels safe to serve now overseas with this happening? Well, it doesn't matter where you are. See, that's the thing. Where he's like, who feels safe to serve overseas? These poor agents. Like, am I being? I don't think that I'm being unfair. Like these hardcore agents that were trained for torture and pain to get through that stuff, and like we're handling it better than they are. We're not lying about it. We're not trying to save our ass by murdering other people, by keeping other people murdered. Um, maybe I'm being too hard about that. And anybody who gets hit with this stuff, I do feel empathy for. It just like, oh, he's a new target, like, and he's getting all this help. I had a friend who he's angry too about that. I think it's okay. I think it's okay because we've been going through it for decades, years. This guy got hit in like what 2018. I think maybe it was 2016. So that's a long time. That's a long time. But I mean, he's not gonna be like, oh, I need to set the record straight. America's doing this and Russia's. I've learned a lot about this because I'm in the CIA, right? He's gonna say whatever the CIA wants him to. So we've got these important people who are being hit, which we've always kind of been like, man, if some agents or politicians or Hollywood stars could get hit by it, and then they would come out, they would be influential. But see, all those people, they lie because they catch anybody who's like a pretty big time or like an agent or something. They get to them and they're like, well, we'll help you out, but you just shut your mouth and you say what we want you to say. So all those things where it's like, oh, if a politician gets hit or this person gets hit or this person gets hit, well, then people will believe it. Well, they get to those people first and make them lie because it's so big. This is the problem. Like, you had it way back when you get, the savings and loan scandals and things like that. The government's bailing out banks and stuff like that. My dad lost like everything. My dad lost $25 million off of Enron and WorldCom. They didn't bail him out. They didn't bail my dad out, who was like a great American who invested back right when Enron crumbled. Um, and but too big to fail, right? Certain banks that are integral in connected to the Federal Reserve, no risk, they can do whatever, right? Too big to fail. When you get to a point where murdering millions, torturing and murdering and raping with microwaves and mind controlling tens of thousands at the very least, tens of thousands, I would say 100,000s of citizens just in America at the very least, and then in other countries, hundreds of thousands at the very least. We're probably talking about millions that in some way are being intense, that have intensive torture, directed energy weapon attacks. We don't know. We don't know because it's all being covered up. But when a system is murdering and torturing citizens in any country, and it's just too big to fail, well, we started murdering and experimenting on these people, and if it comes out, it's going to be too much work for us. Well, why did you do it in the first place? Oh, because you knew when the time came, you could just say it's too big to fail, right? It's too big to fail. We got to keep murdering these people. It's too big to fail. So now it's not only money, where they're just, hey, we'll just give you some money to a bank. You don't have to have any consequences. Murderers. They're letting people murder people and torture them, and they're saying it's too big to fail. You go ahead, you keep murdering. Oh, you person that's being tortured and murdered, it's too big to fail. You just got to die, right? So we've gotten there. We've gotten there with the too big to fail global, like global crushing programs that are intertwined along countries, right? That's why everybody who's a conservative is like, you want your leader to be in the same region as you so they know how the people live and things. When you get the top of the pyramid that doesn't even think we're humans and it's just using us as a petri dish, well, murdering everybody on the planet becomes a project that's too big to fail, you know? Every human being below the capstone, everyone, even if you're in the freaking cult or whatever, should be fighting this, should be fighting for humanity, should be getting this out as quick as possible so people can catch up and think of good things to do with these technologies that help us. God, you could solve crime in a second. You could turn psychotic killers. You could like do things to their brain where they're not psychotic killers anymore. You could make sure that you surveil actually bad people, criminals who do bad stuff. You know, catch these. And I had a lot of other. I mean, you could cure a lot of things with this stuff. I had another good one that they made me forget the other day. Like they shut it off in my brain because it was such a like what you could do with this technology. What they're doing with it is so horrible. Okay, so who feels safe serving overseas with this happening? He asked. My contention is that it's the Russians, but whatever adversary is doing this certainly has not seen anything from the U.S. government that's telling them to stop. Well, the U.S. government's doing this. I mean, people can say it's not what blah, blah, blah. The military-industrial complex, the United States, is doing this, so they're not gonna get into this thing with Russia because Russia's gonna throw it back at them that, oh, you have these weapons too, so nobody's gonna say anything. You know, maybe Biden will. Maybe um, that's telling them stop. It's too bad the U.S. is doing this, and it's number one in directed energy technology and the money that comes from it. It's number one, the United States. You can look. I mean, I'll show all this stuff, but it's like people with like 200,000 views per video and millions of subscribers should be talking about these things for the sake of like humanity. I was watching. And I guess I won't get into that, but I was watching YouTube yesterday, and they're talking about like this drama stuff that doesn't matter one bit. Millions of views. It bread and circuses for the children, bread and circuses for us, bread and circuses. I mean, I'm not. I'm guilty of it. Video game. Well, I'm tortured, so it's a little bit different. It's like if I could go out and work, I'd get out. I wanted to go out and get a job outside. I wouldn't want to work on the computer. Based on nearly 3 decades at the CIA, Polymeropoulos said writing his book Clarity in Crisis was cathartic. Clarity. So he wrote a book and he's getting money off of it. He's going to be big time because this is all coming out, right? And he's the CIA agent that got hit by it. And he has a book on being hit by it. And he has the propaganda that the CIA told him to say in that book. I'm getting angry like on every video. Um, in the name of Jesus Christ, make my anger flow towards the microwave attackers that are attacking me right now. And please, just may they get hit by a bus. Sorry, that was a joke. God, just give us strength. God, please give us strength. Give us peace of mind. Just let us know that you're in control of everything, no matter how it looks. Give us miracles. You've given us tons of miracles. We just don't see it right now. It keeps looking like a stop start. start, stop. But we know it's rolling along. And at any time, this could all bust open. Please just bust it open, God. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, in the name of Jesus Christ. Okay, so he got to write a book. Okay, it's about leading in times of ambiguity and times where there's a lack of situational awareness. It was an incredibly therapeutic experience for me. I suppose you can actually see some similarities to the situation I went through. In a statement to CBS News, the CIA Director of Public Affairs, Tammy Thorpe, responded, "Nothing is more important than taking care of our CIA officers. Not the citizens, not innocent citizens. I mean, America is exactly like China, except we communicate a little bit more. There's fights about people who they can speak more freely, but they're trying to change that, right? But the way that innocent citizens are dealt with involuntary torture and experimentation in their own homes, we're exactly like China. Like DHS Fusion Center is like piece of it. It's I mean it's like the Chinese Communist Party, whatever agency they have to silence dissenters, to put people in concentration camps and stuff like that. China probably is worse because it's putting people in concentration camps probably physically and then hitting them with weapons too, and it's also hitting people with weapons in their homes also. Um, Probably that America does that too. Probably not on as big of a scale, right? Okay, let me read this. Nothing is more important than taking care of CIA officers. Oh my God, I read that. I actually read a sentence that said nothing is more important than taking care of CIA officers. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard, ever. There's everything's more important than taking care of CIA officers. Everything in the world, everything in existence, everything on the earth, everything is more important than taking care of CIA officers. Okay. Both by ensuring that they get the care and treatment they deserve and making sure that they get to the bottom of what caused these incidents. Okay, so what's the bottom of these incidents is that every country has weapons programs, right? And they're experimenting and torturing hundreds of thousands to millions of citizens in their countries, and they're operational. These weapon systems are used operationally by the CIA, by the DoD, and everything like that. And then every other country are using these weapons operationally to see who's in their country. If they're CIA agents or agents from another country coming to the U.S., they want to look in their head because the brain is electromagnetic, right? And so they do use directed energy at a certain resonance, and they can connect with the brain and actually pull out some of the things that are going on in your brain, put them on a monitor because it's just about modulation. It's about modulating a signal, a digital signal that goes to the monitor, but modulating a frequency that they're on the return signal sending to that monitor or to that system, right? That's picking that up. Um, and I don't know. I'm going to go through the whole thing, but I can't do that. But the bottom of these incidents is that there's so many integrated weapon systems. There's so many contractors and just agencies using these things operationally or experimentally that they're just being used on so many people, and so many people are being fired on by weapon systems. The problem is that this is a booming business in every country and even international. It's a booming international business for America to go to smaller countries and sell these weapon systems, right? And then collect the data back from people in other. This is torturing and experimenting not only American citizens, but America and other countries doing this too. There's smaller allied countries that are around them torturing those citizens that are not even part of their country in peacetime for weapons deals. Like the level, we all know this, right? We all know this. New World Order time, huge Satan, but the problem is this is a huge business, right? They've turned murder and torture and experimentation into a massive business. So when they say, For national security, we can't talk about these Americans we're killing or other countries experimenting on their citizens, right? I don't want to leave other countries out. Um, national security, making bank off of this data, making bank off of this data. They're making bank doing it. They're making bank, doing the advancements of the weapon systems and everything like that. Listen to this. Listen to this. A State Department spokesman said Secretary Blinken has made clear that there is no higher priority than the health and safety of our workforce. At this time, we do not know the cause of these incidents. I do, and I'm sitting in my house. I'm just a regular citizen, and I know the cause. Why don't you, Secretary Blinken? I think you're lying. I think you're all lying now. I think if I can know what's going on and I'm just a regular citizen, all my viewers on YouTube can know what's going on, and they're just regular citizens. Probably a lot. Some of you guys specialize in things. I specialize in things, being awesome. Um, but it's like he knows these people are now lying. Like I always try to give people that politicians don't know this. This guy in the State Department, he may not. He may be compartmentalized, right? He may be siloed to where he doesn't know about it. At this point in time, with what went on and how much was reported and how many letters got sent to all these senators in the State Department, and I don't know how many people have sent letters to the NIH and DHS, and the UN and everything, that this guy doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, right. He's lying. He's a liar. Secretary Blinken has made clear that there is no higher priority than the health and safety of our workforce. At this time, we do not know the cause of these incidents. Yes. Which are both limited in nature. That's the biggest lie. That is a lie right there. Which are both limited in nature. So they're saying it's just a very limited thing going on in the world. Somebody has these weapon systems, but they're so advanced that they're only using them on some agents, right? It's like technology that no one's ever heard of. None of these countries, right? But they all have. Like I'll do the next video. I don't know about that, but I need to do some videos with just the contractors talking about the integrated weapon systems. Air Force Research Laboratory putting out millions of dollar contracts to do human research, to do human experimentation. It's out in the public, and they're still doing these articles saying, we don't know. Mass confusion, mass deceit. That's what we live in every country. And the only way out is Jesus Christ. The only way out is to reach towards God, to reach towards those divine frequencies, and you will know the truth. The truth will set you free. At this time, we do not know the cause of these incidents, which are both limited in nature. I gotta stop reading it, and the vast majority of which have been reported overseas. That's a lot, because you know how many people have called the State Department or sent emails to the State Department, probably in the last 5 years, who are citizens experiencing this, and they're saying, we're only counting the ones reported from government workers. So we're only counting those, and we're saying the vast majority of which have been reported overseas, right? Because those are the only ones we're taking. We're not saying what was actually reported, right? These people lie with every breath they take. They are taught to lie. This guy is like, well, we only took the reports from overseas, and we didn't really take any of the other reports seriously, so we can just say in a mainstream article the vast majority of which have been reported overseas. They can just lie about the reports that they've gotten and pretend that they didn't count, and just say, hey, the reports we've gotten are mainly from overseas. It's a new way of lying, right? To just not count things, to just not count us as humans. So, well, you're not human beings, and we're torturing you, so we're not really lying. We're killing you and torturing you and hurting your family, and we're destroying America, but like nobody sees us doing it. Ted Bundy, right? Some people didn't see some of the things he did, but he's like the worst serial killer, or one of the worst I'd say the worst serial killer that has ever existed. And these people murder 24 hours a day, but they're like, hey, since you can't see directed energy, and we're not really killing you, it's a lot less merciful than that. we're not like Ted Bundy or anything, right? No, they're worse than Ted Bundy. These MFers are worse than Ted Bundy. They torture people 24 hours a day. They torture mothers. They torture children. They're worse than Ted Bundy. And they try and do it in this way where it's like, oh, no one's seeing us do it, so we're not. But that's Ted Bundy's philosophy. Ted Bundy's philosophy was like, nobody sees me doing it and I don't get caught. It doesn't count. That's the exact same philosophy that these people who are saying we're murdering and torturing American citizens for national security, that's the logic they're using. They're using the logic of Cyric. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I'm getting a little pumped up. I'm reprioritizing, reorganizing, looking for anything that can help us. Sometimes, like in these big things, it's like I was even thinking about calling, naval engineers, right? Because my grandfather was a naval engineer, and just like talking to somebody in there and saying, my grandfather fought in World War II as a naval engineer. Like I'm a good citizen. He taught me to be like a good, good American, and I'm just being, like my brain is being so harmed by these weapons, and my body's being so harmed by them, right? Just and you don't it probably wouldn't work. Probably I just talk to somebody at the front desk, but you never know. Somebody could be like, "Oh man, your grandpa was a naval engineer. What was his name?" And like, well, this defense really does work. Like we found that out, right? Because they know a lot about defenses and stuff in the military of this stuff. They're just covering that all up. Everything is covered up about these weapon systems because there's so much money being made and so much data being collected, and the mind control is so important, right? So they're going to do whatever they can to stall it, to stall it, to stall it. Miracle that even the reports by the government workers were made. I didn't even think something like that would maybe happen, because so much is controlled, right? Um, so so we're going to have other miracles. We're going to have other things that we didn't think could happen. Many, many more things, you know. Okay, so which are both limited in nature, that's BS, and the vast majority of which have been reported over to, that's BS. Those are two blatant lies, and that's what the State Department does. So we also do not know whether they constitute an attack of some kind by a foreign actor, but these are areas of active inquiry. They're being used. Integrated directed energy weapon systems, integrated neuro weapon systems would be in the integrated directed energy weapon systems. I only say that because with an integrated directed energy weapon system, you can hit somebody in the arm or the genitals with an external shot, but the integrated neuro weapon systems would affect the brain and the nervous system through the brain, right, and the vestibular system. So within an integrated directed energy weapon system, you have the integrated neuro weapon systems, right? Do y'all understand what I'm saying when I say that? I say that a lot because I do just like, integrated neuro weapon it is an integrated directed energy weapon, right? But an integrated directed energy weapon, like a tactic from an integrated directed energy weapon system, is not always a neuro weapon. I guess you could say if you're getting hit externally on your skin by directed energy, it's hurting your nerves. Y'all know what I mean, though. Okay, guys, so I just wanted to read that to you guys. I'm thinking of some more stuff and just trying to kind of to reorganize and kind of get my head straight. Um, the probiotics, like um I drank milk one night and then it got bad. I drank milk the other night because I didn't know, and then it was so bad and it felt like my stomach was just not. It felt like things weren't going through, and it was just like building up, like so. It felt like really bad gas. And then at the end of these 2 or 3 nights, um, well, the when I drank the milk, I was waterfalls, right? Waterfalls, and it looked like the probiotic, like it was all green and stuff like that. It looked like the probiotic had like cultivated too much in my system or something like that. Stopped drinking the milk, took a probiotic. Like I think 2 days later, the same thing happened. The same thing happened, and I didn't have a problem before. And then that happened where it was like it seemed like it was cultivating too much in my system. So I don't know if the milk cause some kind of chain reaction where the probiotics got too much, but I have to stop taking them because it's like severe pain in my colon. However, I have a scar because I had a foot of colon taken out, in 2009. Um, and and so I'm thinking maybe the probiotics in the milk like were affecting that scar, and then that was causing kind of a blockage or something like that. I don't know, but it was so painful. Just be careful with probiotics and milk, especially. It may just I have Crohn's, so it could be something weird with that. But for the last like kind of 4 days, I think 4 or 5 days, um, I was worried that I was going back into a flare up. And I haven't had a flare up. I haven't had Crohn's pain like in my colon since 2009. It's like when I got targeted, it's like I haven't experienced Crohn's pain. I've experienced all this other pain, but it's like that pain hasn't come back. And I was very worried that I was having a flare up. Um, so just be careful. It was really, really bad. I mean, really bad. It's a tiny little probiotic, a little tiny little gel cap, but it was like proliferating, and it has like lactic acid bacteria in it, right? So it's like I'm not sure what happened. It seems like the milk set it off, but then even when I stopped drinking milk, I just take the probiotic, like it calmed down for the next day. And the next day I took a probiotic, and it was like the same thing happened, and it was a whole night of terror. And this is, I think my attackers were, they were making me nauseous while it was happening, which in the end, it actually was good that I got it out of me, right? But, and I think they were also using remote neural manipulation to amp up my pain, the way I was feeling it. So they were making me nauseous. I don't think they were causing, all the stuff that was going on. It was the probiotic, but they weren't helping. They were amping up my pain levels, and they were making me nauseous, so that which actually ended up helping me. I kind of like it. I was like, were y'all trying to help me? Did y'all know what was going on in my digestive tract? But that's a road we're not going to go down. And what else is going on, guys? Kind of forgot anything else that I wanted to talk about. We'll save it for the next video. How about that? And I'm going to be working on some different stuff. I just have to change it up. Not and hopefully every video, I don't know. I'll do some videos. I'm thinking about some things, but I don't want to say what I'm thinking of doing. Um, this is okay. This is one thing I want to say. Okay, like I obviously like the targeting is really difficult for me in my brain. They've done such significant things to my brain. There's no way that it will not show on neurological testing of any kind, unless the person's lying, right? It's going to show a brain injury because they've been doing so much stuff, and there's like neurological trauma to my brain. There's tissue trauma to my brain. I know this. I know this for a fact. I know it. Maybe not tissue. Maybe the tissue expands and then it heals, but the brain is very sensitive, right? The brain is very sensitive. But what my thinking is this at this time, hit all of our marks on, sending information out. They're still covering it up, right? But I want to use the horrific things that my attackers are doing to me to collect as much evidence and show this to doctors at this point in time and see if I can move forward, right? I don't have a lot of money to go to doctors. I guess I don't. I think I'd have to pay a deductible at this point. I gotta find a neurologist. I don't know. I'm working on things. I'm thinking of a lot, trying to heal up to. This is it. This is it. This year I think a lot of things are going to change because I think they can. I think this is what I kind of think about it, and I guess I should be more hopeful. I'm not. I'm very depressed, right? So some of the things that you can be hearing, it's like if I wasn't depressed, I would be looking at this stuff and being like, oh, and this is good, right? But I'm very depressed. So I'm like focusing on how they're liars, they're killers, they're covering things up, saying they're covering things up for national security, but they're covering up the murder of innocent, torture, experimentation, and murder of innocent citizens, including children, right? The things that they're doing to everyone around the world and the New World Order is bringing in, I mean, it's like this is the kind of stuff they do to us now. They torture us. They poison us. They poison the minds of children in elementary school and in college, high school and college. You know, so but using what they've done to me to get testing on that is gonna kind of be my thing, along with just sending. I started. I won't look. I'll bring that up on another video. I've got my email to the State Department, and I'm gonna try and make it as good as possible. But my vocabulary kind of suffers. I have to, in my focus is just, it's not there. But I'm working on that. I don't know how good that's gonna do, but like I said on the last video I made, we need to kind of get our ducks in a row. I think that these contractors will be worried more about liability because I don't know if they're sure what's going to happen, right? I think they feel pretty protected, like they're going to be protected, but the way that everybody's getting thrown under the bus who works for the New World Order, like Fauci and Gates and Epstein and all these people, they get thrown under the bus because maybe it's that thing that Madonna said. She was like, "We're all equal now." Maybe that's what she meant. Maybe that message was given to them. I don't know. I don't know about that, but the way they're throwing people under the bus who are actually like way more highfalutin than these ridiculous microwave attackers that I have, I'm thinking they might throw a lot of these people under the bus if worse comes to worse. Really looking forward to what Putin says about America, what he says about Biden. Oh, that's another thing. And I may make some just short videos talking about this stuff, but since I'm here, like Putin is very smart. He's very calm. He's like almost cold blooded. But what he says about how to keep a country, he was talking about stability. People need stability. When you take stability away from like a system, a country, then it collapses. People need stability and consistency, right? And you can take that in the organic body, right? I mean, just me as a target individual, you guys, it's like we need consistency and stability in our life to be able to carry out things consistently and make money and have shelter and things like that. When you're inconsistent, one day you can do stuff, and then the next day you're like, man, I gotta lay in bed because like I can't, my brain doesn't even work, and the V2K is just too bad, right? I can't wait to see that though. I don't know. I'm not too sure how bad Putin is because everybody hates him. You know, when every New World Order country says they don't like somebody, I'm just like, well, everybody in my community is saying that I'm the bad guy and I'm not. Like I'm dealing with all this really heavy stuff, and I kind of think about Putin and I'm like, maybe he's dealing with a lot of really heavy stuff of every country targeting him, right? But he kind of flies through it with flying colors. He is. He's killed a lot of people and stuff. I don't know. I think to rule a country, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All right, guys. I love y'all. My stomach really hurts, so I'm gonna get off of here and kind of work on. I'm probably gonna work on that email to the State Department and look for a good number for the NIH. Please, guys, if you know who to call in the NIH, DHS. I'm going to be calling all of them. And guys, if you're worried about calling like DHS and you just think they're going to get more information or whatever from you, then you don't have to do it. I just think we're at a point where any information we send out now, we have people that are not going to help us and want us, are torturing us. They have all of our information, but we're entering into a territory of de-siloing, right? Right, and I've said this where it's people who do not know about this and would maybe a 2% chance that they would react like a human being and help us, right? They're the ones that are going to be getting that information. So I'm not worried about it. Like I would send like this is happening to me to DHS. I want wires to get crossed, right? I don't want everybody at DHS Fusion Center saying, "Oh, this guy's a part of this program, and we're going to gang stalk him and change street lights and do all this mess on him." I want somebody saying like, "Oh, this guy's getting hit with microwaves." You want it de-siloed, right? You want it de-siloed. We have confusion on our side, right? Like in the TIs, just every regular human being on the earth, we have confusion on our side about what the hell is going on with many different things. You want to push that confusion up. You want to push it up the pyramid, right? We want to put it on senators. We want to put it on the UN. We want to put it on there. And maybe everyone's corrupt. That's not true. But maybe everyone in all of these government positions are corrupt and everything, but we have nothing to lose, right? We have nothing to lose. All right. All right, guys. I think that's it. I love y'all. I'm gonna be thinking of some other things. I don't want to talk about them too much. But I'm gonna eh, meh 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 shall be the end of this video. I love you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Lots of stuff happening. It's still being talked about. Let's go.